Hello everyone, if you're watching this video, you're either wondering how to do a diesel purge or you're trying to figure out what in the heck a diesel purge is. So if you've got a sick diesel or you just want to clean the whole fuel system, you got an injector that somebody's told you might be going bad, or the regulator on the back of the fuel rail, or just the high pressure or low pressure pump, any of those things, try a diesel purge before you just start changing parts, because this has worked for me a ton of times. This is diesel purge, straight in a jar. This is the stuff here, Liquimoly diesel purge, usually $8 to $10 a can, pretty inexpensive for what you get. I usually run a couple of cans through it when I do this. So before you get started, you need to map out your system here. You need to know what kind of low pressure pump you have first. That's the one that pulls fuel from the tank. In my case, it's mechanical right here on the front of the motor. There's no electrics on it. It pulls fuel. And if you have one like that, you need to follow it to the fuel filter. I've already unplugged everything here. This is the line that goes to the low pressure pump. So I have a line plugged into it right there that goes to the jar. Okay. Now once you have that done, there'll be two other lines you need to worry about. Both of them are return lines. You can see them down here. There's one and there's the other. Those you plug up to a Y and you run this line to your jar. Now those return lines, one comes from the pump and one comes from the back of the injectors. So whatever doesn't get used in the motor goes back to the fuel filter there. If you don't have those going back to the jar, you will run out of diesel purge very, very quickly. If you do have it going, it'll run a long time in a loop, especially at idle. You might get 20 minutes or plus out of a jar. If you're gonna rev it up some, you'll still last a long time. If you don't do that, it won't last but 60 seconds maybe, something like that. So anyway, in the case that you have an electric pump, it's going to be either in your tank or it's going to be close to the tank. And so in that case, I would suggest that you find the fuse for it, unplug it so that pump can't run, and then do what I do for my diesels that use those. Right here, I've got an electric pump. This is from a Powerstroke 7.3. They're inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon cheap, under $100 definitely. It runs 50 to 70 psi low pressure, and then you could just plug it straight to the battery when you're ready to start your motor. That's done really well for me. Technically, you could use this on the motors that have mechanical pumps as well, but since my mechanical pump's working, I don't really have to worry about it. So I've got everything set up. I've got fuel already pulled through the fuel filter. I put a small one here just to make sure, since I'm bypassing the one that's on the vehicle here, I need to have something in line between the jar and between the motor, and that's right there. I've already got fuel pulled through, so I'm going to start it up and we'll see what happens. And the cat's going to watch. Right, kitty? That's right. Okay. Okay, it started right up. Okay, you can see here, there'll be a little bit of air coming back. This motor actually ran really smooth until it would just cut off all of a sudden. Like I said, I think I have an ejector that's starting to go bad, or it's there's no air in the line. I checked for that. Not really sure exactly what it is. It'll run really great, strong and smooth until I accelerate pretty good, and then all of a sudden it just cuts off and gives me a low pressure code. So I'm not positive what it is, but I'm hoping this diesel purge smooths it out. If not, I'll have to do some more hunting. As you can see, it's at idle. It's barely moving it. At idle, a jar will last for a long time on one can. I'm going to run at least 2 today, maybe 3. When it gets warmed up a little bit more, I'm gonna rev it up to about 1500, 1800 RPM, and then just hope for the best when I get done with everything. If you decide to do this, if you have good experience with it or a bad one, any experience at all, feel free to share in the comments. I'd love to hear what happens when you do this. Like I said, I've done this a bunch of times on tractors, diesel lawnmowers, a lot of vehicles I went to look at. They thought the injectors all needed to be replaced, or they thought, you know, they'd send it to a mechanic that was replacing everything and couldn't figure it out. Especially if there's something like black smoke or anything like that. Or if I read the codes and get a low pressure code for fuel, that's fuel related, I'll do this. And usually I'll just do it, pay for them before I do it, and drive away happy. That's what I did in this case. I bought this several years ago. It had a fuel code then. I did a diesel purge, and I've been driving it about 20,000 miles, and now I have the code again. So hopefully this does the same thing as it did 20,000 miles ago. It just smooths it all out. We'll see. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it and hope this helps you out. Bye-bye.